Suicide is one of those things that we've all dealt with. For every one person that's committed suicide, there's been 23 people who have attempted to take their life. We feel your pain. When you know of one person who has done it, think about the 23 others who have contemplated it themselves. In modern times culture, we see the day beginning at midnight in the darkness, moving towards the center at noon where the light is, and then ending in the darkness. In ancient times, though, it was not like this. Mankind saw the beginning of the day beginning in light at noon, going through to the darkness at midnight, and ending again on noon. And the evening and the morning were the first day, according to ancient man. When preventing suicide amongst ourselves and others, we must first see the light. This can be seen best with the analogy, is a glass half empty or is a glass half full? We tend to see things with the glass always half empty. But what I want to teach you today is how to see things with the glass half full. I was recently able to do this after a loss of a great father, a very scientific man, and I was able to show him how significant he was in scientific terms. So I want to do that with you today, to have the gratitude and look for the good in things. This is all science-based, and I'd be pleased to show you. What I was able to show my dad came from a man named Dr. Ali Benazir. And this man wanted to know, what are the chances to create exactly you? Not your brother or your sister, not with a different hair color or different personality, you. And what he did was he did a study and found out the chances of a few areas. So what are the chances that your parents meet each other, that your father and your mother meet each other? He found that there is a 1 in 20,000 chance that your parents would meet each other in their lifetimes. He found that there was a 1 in 2,000 chance that they would stay together long enough to have you. He also wanted to know, what are the chances that they have specifically you and not your brother and sister, your DNA code? And that is a 1 in 10 to the 45,000 chance. That is a 1 with a 10 with 45,000 zeros behind it. That's with all the genetic codes. So, even bigger through time, what are the chances that you and your lineage would stay together, that your parents had them, that your great grandfather and grandmother had your great grandfather and grandmother, and that they DNA was exactly the way it is all the way down to you. He found that there was a 1 in 10 to the 2,640,000 chance that that would occur. So altogether, when you take all these numbers, there's a 1 in 10 to the 2,685,000 power chance of having exactly you through all the lineages, your DNA, your hair, your personality, your quirks. You. That's what he found. That is incredible. Right here where I stand, this is the end of the Tom's Run. The Tom's Run is a run that is done every year in memory of a man named Tom who liked to run. And if you had zeros that were this big, 5 and a foot, then you would have, if you took 2,685,000 zeros that big, it would go 100 miles. Almost as far as the 150-mile Tom's Run that begins in the end of West Virginia and ends here where we stay today in Maryland. That's incredible. And mind you, each time you go through another zero, you have just increased the 10 scale. It's not just linear. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That is the chances that Dr. Ali Benazir said that it has to have exactly you. But Dr. Ali Benazir left out 3 major physics equations. The first law of thermodynamics, that energy can neither be created nor destroyed. Second law of thermodynamics, entropy occurs. Things deteriorate over time. And the conservation of mass, that matter can neither be created nor destroyed. The beliefs that he went by was that everything came from nothing. That an explosion created everything we see here today. Well, that's against the laws of physics. So with it being known that it's against the laws of physics, that makes us a 1 out of infinity. We're an impossibility. Yet here we are. We're not a 1 out of infinity. We are an infinity out of 1. Because we exist. We were meant to be here. I was able to share that with my father. And because of that, what should have been a dark day was light. His birth was light when his parents saw the significance of him being born and coming into this world, and his death was light because his son got to see his father leave happy, knowing how important and purposeful his life was. It was a good thing. Now, gratitude, looking for the good, is another science-based resiliency training that deals with how do we find the resiliency in everyday life. And it has brought up people. The science-based training has you to look at each day and find 3 things good in a day. You write them down. And what that does is it builds a whole culture among yourself. It trains your mind. Like any athlete, if you want to be good at something, you have to train. And sometimes you have to train to see the good in things. So if you can do that, try to write down 3 good things that happened to you in today, no matter how bad. And if you cannot find anything, think about what your odds are of you existing. There was a doctor that told me the more older he got, the more things seemed common, that we're insignificant, that science shows it. But the older I get, the more I realize how it's almost impossible for us to be here without a reason. When you look at the snowflake, how complex it is. When you look at the grain of sand, how complex it is. You will never find another snowflake the same, just like you will never find another grain of sand the same. When you look at the grass, just look at the grass. All of these, they're all specific kinds of grass. When you look at the sky and all the magnetic rays that are to deflect radiation, harmful radiation that could hurt us from the sun. When you think about Jupiter, how its gravity deflects meteorites, everything in life has a purpose, and it's for you. So when you go through your day and someone may make you upset, try and see the good in things. So look for the gratitude. The next thing I want to talk to you about is how to take care of someone who is having suicidal thoughts. What do we do then? The first step in dealing with someone with suicidal ideations is to know your people. Know how they are when they're sad, know how they are when they're happy, and know how they are when they're excited. When a person is near to doing a suicide attempt, they don't always show sadness, as sometimes they give away a lot of their things right before. And often they seem very undepressed, undisturbed, as they know that they are planning to leave this world. No two people are alike, so knowing your people is the first step in preventing suicide. The next thing is the Ask Care Escort. The first step of the Ask Care Escort is to ask. To straight up ask your friends or family members, are you thinking about killing yourself? Have you ever had suicidal ideations? These type of questions, although abrupt, can bring out a good reaction to figure out what they are trying to do. After you ask, and before you ask, it is pertinent that you care for them, that you tell them that you care for them, to actually have empathy for the situation. If they do say that they have suicidal ideations, you should also be able to let them see the good and the gratitude that can be seen in their life. Let them know how their family members and how the people will miss them if they are gone. Also let them know they're significant and just the probability of their existence alone, as we've discussed earlier. Once you've shown care to them and they've said that they are going to commit suicide, make sure that you escort them. Do not leave their side until further help can arrive. Contact the various professional services that can get them help. There's a suicide hotline. There are many avenues to do this. Here is a list of a few of them. But whatever you do not leave their side. In summary to all this, remember that suicide is not a strange thing, and that many people try it. For every suicide, there is at least 24 attempts. Anxiety and depression are not uncommon, as we all experience them. It's how we deal with them that determines our next moves. Also know your significance. It's important to know your significance so that you can share that with the others. And then know your people, always caring for them, and able to use the Ask Care Escort techniques while showing them the gratitude and looking for good exercises that you have learned and that you have employed too. And all, take care of yourself and take care of others, and the light will outshine the darkness. Goodbye.